The Blackwood Creek Medical Examiner's 1978 report meticulously documented a nearly invisible puncture wound, less than a quarter-inch wide, on Elias Thorne's left temple, yet declared the primary cause of death to be hypothermia. How could such a distinct injury be relegated to a footnote, dismissed as mere post-mortem damage? Tonight, we reopen Case 197. We will unearth the original autopsy records, re-examine a single, discarded fiber, and finally understand how a hidden weapon, a specific killer, and a glaring injustice were all filed away under solved. This investigation will peel back decades of official narrative, revealing the true sequence of events that unfolded on that desolate Oregon road, and the shocking forensic failures that allowed a murderer to walk free. Elias Thorne, a 22-year-old history student, was last seen leaving the university library on October 24, 1978. Friends described him as studious, a bit quiet, but utterly reliable. He had plans to meet his family for Thanksgiving just weeks away. When he didn't show up for his morning classes the next day, and calls to his apartment went unanswered, concern rippled through his small circle. 2 days after his disappearance, his weathered Volkswagen Beetle was discovered near Miller's Logging Trail, a remote, infrequently used dirt road winding through the dense Blackwood National Forest. The driver's side door was ajar, a small detail that would later prove disturbingly inconsistent with the official story. A day later, a search party located Elias Thorne. He was found face down in a shallow ravine, approximately 1 mile from his abandoned car. The scene was bleak, cold, damp, and isolated. Oregon State Police, alongside the local sheriff's department, quickly processed the area. The initial assessment pointed towards a tragic accident. The car had likely broken down. Elias, disoriented or injured, had wandered off, fallen into the ravine, and succumbed to the elements. The cause of death, as determined by Dr. Evelyn Reed at the Blackwood Creek County Morgue, was recorded as hypothermia. But even in those early days, one documented detail quietly resisted this simple explanation. The car's engine was stone cold, yes, but the gas tank was nearly full. Why would a car with plenty of fuel be abandoned with its door left open, if not for some immediate, compelling reason that forced Elias away? The official narrative states Elias Thorne died of exposure, an unfortunate consequence of getting lost in the wilderness. The medical examiner's report, however, contained a detail, almost an aside, in Appendix B, a quarter-inch lesion, perfectly circular, located on the left temple, with minimal surrounding tissue damage. Dr. Reed, in her 7-page report, document number 78-314, acknowledged its presence, but ultimately dismissed it as a superficial injury consistent with a fall, perhaps impacting a rock or a broken tree branch. Consider that for a moment. A tiny, precise wound on the temple. But then, nestled within the microscopic findings, buried deep within the forensic notes, was another entry. A microscopic fragment of dark, woven material, approximately 1 millimeter in length, partially embedded in the rim of the left temple lesion. This fiber was catalogued as environmental contamination, possibly from victims' clothing or local vegetation. This single critical piece of evidence, barely noted, was seen as extraneous, a nuisance to be logged and then ignored. Yet, this wasn't just any fiber. This was the silent scream from the crime scene itself. Modern forensic analysis, had it been available or properly applied, would have revealed something profoundly different. This fiber was not wool from Elias's coat, nor was it native plant matter. It was a synthetic blend, a specific polymer woven with a natural component, distinct from anything found in Elias's personal effects or the Blackwood Forest ecosystem. The implications are stark. This fiber did not contaminate the wound. It was introduced by the implement that created it. This tiny, discarded thread was from the sheath or handle material of the murder weapon itself. The puncture wound was not from a jagged rock or a blunt impact. Its precision, its depth, which Dr. Reed's notes, though not highlighted, confirmed penetrated several millimeters into the cranium, was consistent with a specialized piercing tool, an awl, a thin spike, or something similar, wielded with deliberate intent. And the fiber? It suggested the weapon was carefully carried, perhaps sheathed, only to be drawn for a swift, precise strike. This shifts everything. The official record implies a lonely, accidental end. The evidence whispers a cold, deliberate act. Elias Thorne was incapacitated, not by a fall, but by a targeted blow to his head before the elements even had a chance to set in. He was abandoned, not merely lost. The failure to properly interpret this evidence wasn't just an isolated oversight. It represents a fundamental breakdown of several key investigative principles. First, the Locard's exchange principle, which states that every contact leaves a trace. The fiber was the trace. Dismissing it as mere environmental contamination was a catastrophic misjudgment, ignoring the fundamental tenet that even the smallest fragment can tell a monumental story. Had investigators followed this principle, that fiber would have been analyzed in context, not in isolation, potentially leading to the identification of a specific material and a specific type of weapon. Second, the investigation failed to differentiate between cause and contributing factor. While hypothermia was undeniably present and contributed to Elias's ultimate demise, it was not the initiating event. The precise puncture wound, capable of immediate incapacitation, was the true cause. It was what rendered Elias helpless, what left him vulnerable to the elements. This diagnostic failure led to a superficial conclusion that neatly explained the death without addressing the violent act that preceded it. Third, the entire case demonstrates a systemic failure in what we now understand as a proper cold case review protocol. In the present day, any initial report containing an anomaly like a quarter-inch lesion unexplained by the primary cause of death, coupled with unidentified microscopic fragments found within that wound, would trigger an immediate red flag. Modern techniques, from advanced electron microscopy to sophisticated spectroscopic analysis, could have differentiated that synthetic fiber from local debris in an instant. The absence of these methodologies, or the failure to apply existing critical thinking, allowed a clear and present clue to remain buried in plain sight. This isn't just about Elias Thorne, the young history student whose life was cut short 4 decades ago. It's about how frighteningly easy it is for a life to become a mere statistic, for a critical, almost shouting piece of evidence to be whispered away by oversight and assumption. You realize now that a closed case isn't always solved. It's often merely filed, the official narrative stamped and sealed, regardless of the quiet contradictions within its own pages. The silence of those files echoes with the truth, and the true cost is justice denied, not just for the victim, but for their family, for their community, for the very trust we place in the system. Elias's 22 years deserved more than a narrative built on assumption. How many other crucial threads were similarly unraveled and ignored? The truth of Case 197 was always there, patiently waiting within the pages of a forgotten report, nestled in a microscopic fiber. We have seen how a single, critical detail can redefine an entire narrative, overturning decades of official record. This is not the end of our search for answers, only the beginning of another. The next documented failure awaits. Subscribe to Cold Docket